Big Earl here with Veteran Trash Talk and Gruntworks, and super excited to bring you part 2 of our 3-part series of how to invest your money if you got money. Now, we're bringing Army veteran Ken back on, and he's going to tell you what to do with your money by going through a scenario with a CPA and myself of what kind of questions you're going to answer and how the system looks. Now, Facebook has a lot of scams, all right, but if you follow Veteran Trash Talk, you know that we're not a scam, and information is power. All you have to do doesn't cost you anything. Scan that QR code right there. I think it's right there, something like that. Yeah, that'll take you to Veteran Trash Talk. Go to the events and say interested in going, all right, to part 2 of Army veteran Ken and financial security. We'll see you then.
What's up, trash talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
Here is a firm believer in all men are created equal, but not all men live equal. That is why there's a certain select number of people in the DoD who decided to jump out of airplanes. And yes, we are better than you. 100%. Now, don't be the first triggered pansy to say, well, airborne's not relevant. You haven't jumped since World War II. Well, that's not accurate, for one. And two, it's like having a jalopy or a 68 Mustang. Well, a 68 Mustang's no longer relevant. Doesn't matter. It's still a better car than yours. So take it easy this National Airborne Day and just accept that we are better than you.
So, 2 things for today's Honesty Cat. First thing, how do all my boys from the 101st feel knowing that the Army decided that instead of actually making you airborne, they would just create a whole new division that's airborne because you just aren't cutting it? It sucks. Thing number 2, for all the folks who were like, oh, airborne is irrelevant, doesn't even matter, they're making a whole new division of just airborne people because they're relevant. Think about that. How's that feel? Does that hurt a little bit? I hope it hurts a little bit.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Gruntworks Nation? What's going on, Trash Talkers? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Trash Talk Hour.
And Veteran Radio Syndicate.
Yes, sir. George, who's going to be talking about his nonprofit. And today I'm joined by Buddy and Nick. Happy Saturday, everybody. Cheers.
Did I not read the script? I thought I read the script. I thought, was that not? I must not have, because I could have swore I was.
What are you doing,
George? But hey,
you are going to introduce George. You're going to introduce
George.
George.
He just did it. He already did it.
We always introduce the guests. We
always
introduce the guests
them. Where have you
as a
been
short,
last
hi,
fucking
this
2
is
seasons,
George,
homie?
right? Not like
Yes,
not the actual in-depth introduction, just like this. The other guy you're looking at,
Well, Buddy's on fire already, trying to talk shit, not trying to ruin my mood.
Yeah. George, it looks like
Been here
were you
for
doing
2 minutes.
George, were you doing like communion earlier? Or were you administering communion as a priest?
No, this is okay. See this shirt?
Oh, okay. All right. I just
This
saw the
is
white
the
collar. I
adrenaline
didn't know.
shirt. There's only
Oh.
4 of these. Today
Oh.
is so. Let me tell you this. Today
Shouldn't
is
ask him a question.
Kevin Randleman's birthday,
Oh, okay. Nice.
and so rest in peace. But me, Mark Coleman, Kevin Randleman, Wes Sims are the only people that have these shirts on the planet.
Ah, nice.
Nice. And speaking of shirts, I'm just gonna do a shameless plug here. Not really, because we run a shirt company as well.
I
have a quit being a trigger Ramsey because I lost 2 bets. I lost 2 bets to that whatever that
the experts that we have on our fight show that you can't fucking beat.
I can't fathom how long.
But anyways, hey, that fuck
And our
Hamas
current
thing,
bestseller, Fuck Hamas, the QR code.
you guys
is right
all
there in
need,
front of me.
everybody watching
Scan
needs
that,
to go
you need to get that
scan
shirt.
that. Keep it up there, Chris. You got to scan that and buy this because I'm going to talk about it today in my book of Earl. Like, you need to go buy this shirt.
Oh,
All right, because anybody
I like
not wearing a fuck Hamas shirt, all right, like you're pretty much a terrorist. All right, so go get it.
You support terrorism, pretty much.
Yeah, we already got one scan. We got one scan.
Yeah.
Well, nice.
That's his time on record. All right.
Yeah.
And
What's
I
up,
even
Ryan?
wore your shirt on air.
Yes, you did. But nobody watched it.
No, they did. They watched it. They watched our shows.
Nobody watches our shit either. So it doesn't matter. We're just funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're kind of on a time crunch, huh? We got to cut it
We are.
out an hour.
We are.
We got a lot of
Buddy's
stuff going on.
Buddy's got to go to a preseason fucking volleyball or fucking football game.
Football
Yeah.
game.
Football
Tennessee
game.
Titans
Yeah.
against the 49ers.
I'd be more okay if you were going to volleyball.
Now, for an uneducated individual in regards to football, is that like the second string or like is that the actual like?
It's like the seventh string.
No, they're going to play the starters for the first half and then the other guys the second half.
So the 49ers are going to just annihilate.
No, the 49ers will not play a single starter in that game.
Well, they may play a starter, but they got to play.
They might play like the
49ers have to play Tennessee and the weather. So have fun.
Yeah.
Guys.
Where are you watching the game at? What?
The stadium. We're going to Nissan Stadium.
Okay.
Stadium. Yeah.
Tennessee.
That's what's up.
50-yard line.
Okay.
Not a huge deal. Here's the thing, and I would.
Oh my God! It's not your turn.
Wait, you says. Here's the thing. The reason we're going to a game is because the tickets were only like $100 a piece for a preseason NFL game, which only highlights the fact that normal people have been priced out of going to actual events in the United States, and it's at this point getting annoying. Like, you can't go to a concert for less than $300. You can't go watch a football game for less than I'm going to a preseason game. It's going to cost me $300. That's insane. Like, a normal person can't afford to go.
Normal people can't afford to go to McDonald's anymore.
Yeah, but it's not like the NFL team or the concert you're going to is getting that money. Like, Ticketmaster buys all the tickets and they sell them for quadruple the price and make a giant profit. And like it's gotten to the point now.
No,
like,
Buddy hates capitalism.
No, it's not capitalism. I hate. It's the fact that you can't.
It's exploit.
Normal people are priced out
of monopoly
being able to do anything.
Yeah, no, that's true.
In the name of.
But you could also buy season tickets and then you got to worry.
Yeah, you can afford season tickets.
$6,000 or $7,000
with an listening bonus.
You can afford them in the nosebleeds.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know that you could. Honestly, I'm not even joking. I don't know that you could.
He flies to Europe like every 2-3 months now.
Dude, maybe stop flying to France, buddy. And you can
that's the
afford
thing.
a ticket.
If you go to a concert in France, it's not, or in Europe or anywhere else, it's not the same.
It's cheaper for sure.
Way cheaper.
Let's get to the conspiracy before we get Buddy start a GoFundMe. So
hey, I'm just saying this shit's messed up. That the guy that's
You're right.
Can't afford to go to a football game on Sunday anymore because people have to make $300 off of your $100 ticket.
I agree with you. I'm selling my Rams Raiders tickets for $2,000 a pop because Raiders fans are stupid.
Yeah, because you can. Yeah, it's insane.
But that Raiders fans can afford it, and they're stupid. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, so yeah, I got Chris triggered a little bit because I sent a conspiracy yesterday, which is a big no-no.
Which conspiracy is this one?
Well, we're to talk about it. So, this one isn't really like essentially necessarily a conspiracy. There are a lot of conspiracies evolving around it, and I kind of just want to get everybody's take on what they think. Have you guys heard of Riker Webb, the boy that went missing in Montana like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So it's this 3-year-old kid. He was
Nick
outside
was
playing with
lying.
his dad.
Nick never heard of Riker Webb. Neither have I.
It was on the news. It was on the news and stuff. Like it was pretty. We're gonna talk about
Buddy,
it.
you
But
were
so
still in the secret group, that runs the world. So maybe you were involved.
Those people.
maybe
We
you
probably
were
have him
involved
in
with
the
this.
pipeline
Yeah,
right now. Actually, was he a good athlete?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
maybe the potential at 3 years old, buddy.
Yeah.
yeah. This 3-year-old kid was outside playing with his dad, with his dog, and then like his dad went back inside, and then the kid went missing. Basically, went missing for 2 days straight. Was found 2 miles away in a shed, and during this time, like the weather conditions there were pretty fucking brutal, like hail and cold temperatures, mountain lions, all kinds of shit. After 2 days, the police found the kid and he had different clothing on. Like his whole outfit was changed. They did some DNA testing to make sure that maybe there wasn't any like sexual misconduct, like somebody abused him, or he doesn't claim seen anybody, but he just basically went off for 2 miles and then they found him again. And there's like tons of conspiracies that say the parents did it, somebody else did it. Let's just watch the video and you guys give me your take on what happened to this kid.
Oh, you got Chris the video. That's nice of you.
Yeah. He just has to do that.
Riker Webb went missing in the woods for 2 days and came back looking like this. I want to share all the things I've read about this case so far. On June 3rd, 2022, Riker Webb went missing. He wandered off from his family into the woods, and after 2 hours of not seeing him, they called the police. He was playing with the dog outside, and his father could not find him. A massive search party was dispersed to find this little boy. They had drones, boats, the police, and many residents involved. They still went looking for him despite scattered thunderstorms. Riker Webb was found in a couple's shed. They heard some commotion and went out to check, and they found Riker back there. Luckily, he stumbled upon this shed because if not, the mountain lion surely would have gotten him. Obviously, Riker was extremely scared. He's away from his family and he's 3 years old. Everybody on the internet is still wondering why this 3-year-old was not being watched closely. There is one unsettling video I saw with Riker recounting his experience. He said he found the shed and that there was a man. I'm not sure if his imagination is running wild or if something led him there, if this man took him. This is just a theory because children's imaginations do run wild. Not to point fingers, but everybody is saying that his parents were purposefully negligent to him. And once again, these are just theories. I'm not saying anything is confirmed or not. But this is definitely a strange case. But the weirdest thing that I've seen circulating all over the internet, the clothes that he was wearing when he went missing were not the same clothes that he was found in, which is crazy. There's no way a 3-year-old brought a spare change of clothes into the woods. So how did he even get those clothes? I'm just glad he was found, but you can see the trauma and terror in his eyes in this photo. We might not know what happened out there for a long time. What do you guys think about Riker Webb's story?
Yeah, so the photo, if you guys Google it, like that kid looks traumatized, like he went through fucking hell. You can't see it as clear on the screen, but if you guys Google it, it looks pretty bad. So I think it's an abduction case. I think somebody snatched the kid up. I don't think his parents had anything to do with it necessarily. I do find it kind of weird though that they didn't notify the police till like 2 hours into like looking for this kid because they were going to neighbors' houses and stuff. There's a whole article online about it, but I do think the kid was probably abducted by somebody, and then brought to the shed for whatever, and then yeah, they found the kid. I don't think the parents necessarily had anything to do with it because, from my understanding, he was extremely happy to be back with his parents after they found him. But yeah, that's my take. There's other takes with like chupacabra or aliens, like oh Bigfoot, like whatever. Definitely an abduction case. Like I don't think that kid was able to walk 2 miles in the woods by himself and get to a shed. That just doesn't seem. I don't know that a 2-year-old could do that. But George, what's your take on this? What happened to this kid? What was he abducted? Foul play by the parents? What do you think?
Somebody's got to be involved in it because the other thing is, how do you come up missing? How do you find a shed 2 miles away? And then how do you change a kid's clothes?
Yeah,
I mean, did somebody try to abduct him and think they could get him out clean? Maybe they thought that nobody saw them. I
Mhm.
mean, you take a look at the remember the Australian dingo case where the kid came up missing and the parents said it was a dingo and nobody believed them, and you
That shit
know
really happened once.
it really happened.
You ate my baby.
Yeah.
I do not remember that case, but that happened.
That shit ain't funny, man. That shit actually happened once.
But I mean, in cases like this, I mean, you always, you take a look at the clothing and the socks, and maybe, somebody put them in there, and maybe somebody saved them that wasn't supposed to. I mean, that always, that always happens. There was a TikTok video of a guy, I don't know if you saw him, that was living in the woods that had 130,000 followers. That was a child molester and was making money off of TikTok. And he was talking about, 10, 12-year-old girl. And people are weird, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it just, maybe he ran into somebody that wasn't supposed to be around kids.
Yeah. So you're definitely leaning towards an abduction case?
Outside influence, another person. I don't know that it's an abduction, but I think it has to be somebody, somebody was with the kid, because, I have kids, and trying to change my son's clothing at 3 years old was like trying to change a bobcat. I mean, he was like, no.
Yeah, the kid's not just going to walk out in the woods. I'm going for a walk, and I'm going to take a change of clothes with me, and then be able to walk 2 miles. Like, I have, 2-year-old, 3-year-old nephews and stuff, and like they're not walking no fucking 2 miles before they and then the crazy weather conditions and stuff. So yeah, that's.
And you look at his socks when they found him, and they were tattered. They were like this, So do you walk 2 miles as a 3-year-old? And on top of that, find a shed that's in a straight line, that's in a line. I mean, they're just there had to be some outside influence,
some foul play. Yeah, good take, George. Good take, buddy. What you got? You've been shaking your head over there like you know it all.
Well, you put out that his dad just went inside and left it, and he walked 2 miles. So
yeah,
that's not what the video said, but did his dad leave him inside?
Full-blown article. That's why I was informing you on all the other stuff that I researched for this amazing,
That's the case. His dad just bounced, and then the kid went missing. Bad parenting does not equal conspiracies, just bad parenting.
Yeah.
I would say that I, as a 3-year-old, left my house in Germany and walked to the PX, and then shoplifted a bunch of Matchbox cars, and then went to the little middle area and was handing them out Robin Hood style to little kids.
Nice.
So 3-year-olds do leave. They do walk. That is a thing. But I mean, best case scenario, dad's an idiot, walked inside, and the kid just kind of like wandered around and found something. Worst case scenario, somebody abducted him, was holding him in that shed until they could move him to another location once the heat died down.
Yeah. What about the change of clothing?
Yeah. That would be the worst case scenario part.
Yeah, where he got abducted.
Where he was abducted, and they were waiting to ship him off to some sex traffic ring or like sell him.
Island.
Because that happens also.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But you hold them until people kind of forget for a minute, or the roads aren't blocked, and then you leave and go from there. You know what I mean? That would make sense. But yeah, either way, the change of clothes throws you for a loop. I guess the big thing is don't go inside while your kids are outside playing.
Yeah, no shit.
Especially in an area where you're worried about bobcats and mountain lions.
Yeah, when you read the other articles, like they didn't notify the police for 2 hours. So the dad went to all the neighbors and rang the doorbells and stuff.
2 hours. But I could see like going and talking to neighbors and stuff and seeing.
I could see like 10, 20 minutes, but we're talking about a 2 or 3-year-old here, bro. Like you don't wait for fucking 2 hours and then notify the police.
Only 2 or 3, I guess. It's kind of how long was dad inside?
Maybe they were panicking.
Yeah.
They weren't thinking.
Yeah, you're right. Dad could have been inside a lot longer. No, that's a very good point.
I'm not saying that's what happened. Just like looking at history through relative goggles is dangerous. Just like looking at a perspective of being calm right now, like we are, where you're in a panic state. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What state was this in again?
Montana.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what it is. Right. It's just like Utah, Idaho, right? Like it's in that same region, right? Where you just have a bunch of wackos, all right, a bunch of people who dress their kids up like fucking dolls, right? And they try to put them like, you want to talk about looking traumatized. All right. Remember that picture of that person? We won't say their name.
That kid looked fucked up. Did you see that picture, dude?
Yeah, like remember the kid that he had with the little sucker on the tree? You know what I'm talking about, Dave? From Charlie Company?
Yeah.
And he comes in and shows us all his picture of like, look at my kid modeling. And I'm like, bro, I want to call the FBI. I want to call the FBI right now. Like I'm really uncomfortable in my office right now. Like I didn't come to work today to see that. I'm upset. Right? Like, no, so like there's wackos up there. So how do we know that the way that this kid looks traumatized, like the video said, he was just getting ready for a photo shoot. All right. And then when they got turned in, right, they were like, oh, we lost our kid. No, you were about to make a sex video with your kid in like fucking Idaho and Utah and Montana, all that crazy shit out there.
Oh, shit.
So I'm going with this take is that they're doing some fucked up shit there.
Parents involved completely.
And they did enough distraction of other things happening so that people just forgot about it.
Yeah, his brother has a TikTok too. Sorry for interrupting you, Nick, but his brother has a TikTok, and there was a video that was taken down where he's like asking Riker or whatever. He's like, "So what did you experience out there?" You guys can find it online, and like it's an older brother talking to him. Yeah, just weird shit, bro. But his brother's
remember
TikTok is now taken down; it's not available anymore.
Yeah, where was he from?
Ted Kaczynski was found in Montana in a shed.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's one of the smartest dudes to ever live.
And that dude
was also part of the CIA experiment, so I don't think.
Yeah. Here we go. We're getting conspiracy number 2 in there.
I mean, just they found him in a cabin, and he was in that cabin 7 years?
Yeah.
So
if you want to be weird, if you want to do weird shit, you move out to the West. Like not the West Coast. There are just weird people in the cities. But like, you move out in that area where like
I'll live with the feral people out.
Yeah, nobody really cares. No, West Virginia's they got the mountain people up there. They'll stop you from doing too much stupid.
Look at Warren Jeffs. You look at Warren Jeffs and some of the stuff that they pulled off. He was in the West and he was in Arizona and he was in Utah. So it's in a big city. If you want to hide, the easiest place to hide is in a big city, or number 2, where you blend in and you don't look out of place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm going to go with
all about that.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with that. This is just a neighborhood, a community where they're okay with dumb shit happening, right? Taking dumb pictures of their kids, dressing them up like morons, right? So, not Arizona, Sean, okay, because that's in the South, all right? Like this area, not this area. Okay? Southwest, right? It's not the South. It's not the South. It's not the South.
Which is the cool part of America.
Yeah. Southeast, the redneck capital of the world, baby. You gotta like.
Well, good take. I think everybody's take is definitely some fucking fishy shit going on there, and some involvement from
his parents
parties. Yeah.
Well, it's not a direct segue into the Book of Earl, but it's pretty close, right? And I'll try to keep this short. We won't cover the boys beating up women too much because that just gets into a whole different argument of semantics and other kinds of stuff, about like what paper did you read, the NIH or John Hopkins University? Doesn't matter. All right. But again, those of you paying attention, take a pen out. All right, because this is probably the most useful stuff you'll hear all week. All right, the Book of Earl is, it's been documented many of times as the greatest stuff that has ever been said on podcasts. And they come from my own trials. All right. They come from where I was triggered by something. And I may have acted incorrectly or I acted correctly, regardless. Right. That's all perspective. But you know what really, really triggers me? This kind of comes from one of Buddy's Honesty Caps once, where a buddy was like, we make jokes that this stuff will never come in our face. Right. That like, this will never bother us. We'll never see this in America. We'll never see this in sports. We'll never see this in school. And all of a sudden, wham, right? It's right in your face, and it's been getting slowly plugged in there, right? But what the book of today's book of Earl comes, it's a new chapter, right? I was writing it over the break, right? So it's chapter 14, verse 3 through 5 is what we're going to concentrate on today. And it's where don't stand by and just take it. All right. But understand how much you can actually take on. All right. You can't take on too much. Right. So the big Earl here decided to take on protecting women's sports. All right. One, because I have a personal interest in it. Right. Because I have 2 daughters who are tremendous athletes. Right. And the last thing that I want to see when they work their ass off up to some point is we include somebody who was born with a Y chromosome, right? And dust them by a half a fucking lap, right? That will literally probably break my heart more than it'll break theirs, right? But it's like the more and more that we move the goalpost to the right of what gender is, right? We're just going to erase everything women have done. And if you watch the Olympics, if you watch like the runner who is from Harvard, like a nuclear biologist, whatever the hell she is, right? And to, setting world records, okay? Everything that woman is doing. The woman wrestler, the 20-year-old George, what's her name?
Amita Laura.
I mean, yeah, what she's doing, what she has done. Think about what women wrestlers looked like 30 years ago. Can anybody remember women wrestlers 30 years ago unless you were in the field? Unless you were in the field, George. All right. Nobody fucking knew what women wrestlers were 30 years ago. All right. So just think about the steps and the gains that they've made. All right. And we're going to take that away by possibly sometime in the future letting a dude wrestle them. Right. Like, no, shouldn't happen. But either way, this is what I'm going to tell you to fight. This is what, if you don't have a battle right now, something that really, really triggered me over the break, all right, is do we all know what happened at Union Station when Netanyahu came to talk? All right. They took down the American flag off of a federal building. All right. They burnt it. They put a Palestinian flag, and then they spray painted on the building. Hamas is coming. Chris, can you put that QR code back up? You still got it or no? All right. They put they said Hamas is coming on there. All right. So go buy your fuck Hamas shirt. And I'm asking every American if you ever see that. Now, again, we've done this like, hey, protests are beautiful. All right. This isn't a protest. When you take down the American flag and put up another fucking country's flag on a federal building, all right, that's not a protest. All right. They're literally claiming territory.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you, like, again, you can hate Israel and what they do. That's fine. Like, there's been lots of people in the history of the United States. I mean, the history of the world.
War fucking sucks.
Israel. Yeah, war sucks.
War sucks.
Right. And you can have all your hearts and minds and prayers, send money, donate to the people of Palestine. You can do all of that, right? Okay. But you don't get to put Hamas is coming. All right. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas are evil fucking people.
Who was also elected by 70%, I'd say. I mean, somebody can Google this. By the,
but it's the way that they count. Yeah, but it's hard to count.
No, hold on. Let me finish it, and then we'll get to it.
Sorry.
But yeah, like, again, I don't want to get into what we think Hamas is or what Hamas isn't. Hamas is a fucking terrorist organization. You write down a federal building that Hamas is coming, all right, and then you raise the Palestinian flag after you take the American flag down and burn it, all right, that's not a protest.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, no, fuck you. All right. And where are the Patriot Riders? All right. As far as like what the Patriot Riders have done, all right, for American soldiers, Marines, airmen who have died was one of the most beautiful things that an organization has ever done. Right. Where they stopped that stupid Westboro Baptist Church from protesting at soldiers' funerals. Okay. We need to come together. And anytime these lunatics do this, and again, I'm not talking about, I'm okay. It bothers me when somebody burns the American flag, but go ahead and burn it, right? Show us how fucking dumb you are, but you're not putting another country's flag up on a federal building, right? And then graffitiing it, because guess what? When let's take it back. January 6th, everybody thought there was an insurrection, right? We're trying to overthrow the government. What happened when they actually got close to the government? They got fucking shot. All right. That's like, and everyone on this fucking panel is like, yeah, you probably should get shot for that. Right. Like, you're about to go break into a room with like 3 levels of
Gonna
government.
get fucking popped, dude.
You're gonna get fucking popped, bro. Right? Should you get shot for just walking in the Capitol? No, because that's
Thanks
our
for buying the
building.
shirt, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm not
thanks
gonna
for
name your
buying the
name,
shirt.
but
Yeah,
you're
thanks
watching
for
the
buying
show
the shirt.
probably right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So
supporting
go
the cause.
get the fuck Hamas shirt. And again, band together, Americans. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. You do not get to raise another country's.
Can I
fucking
say
flag
something about
on our
Amit?
federal building? On our federal building. That triggered the shit out of me.
Of course you can,
Take
George.
a stand, and fight. That's the Book of Earl. All right, George, what do you got?
Oh, dude, I'm
Okay,
gonna put that together in a little clip. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I've known Amit Alor for 12 years. Her dad, her father, was on the 1980 Israeli Olympic team as a shot putter. And the amount of anti-Semitism that is coming out is, to the point that, what I would do to people in Hamas, you wouldn't do to a lab rat. I would come up with some creative, Spartan diabolical shit.
Right.
The problem, this is my take on this, is the people that are, the wearing the keffiyeh, putting putting the Palestinian flag up, putting from the river to the sea. I just when you start asking them, what does that mean? Which river, which sea? They can't name it. And the thing that I have a hard time with the putting flags up. I mean, I honestly don't think there's only, well, now there are 57 flags you can put up, but honestly, I don't think that other than the service flags, the flags of the states, you shouldn't be able to put. I don't think you should fly any of those.
Well, technically, it's a law. The flag code is a law on federal buildings. It's not
right.
They can do it outside of federal property, and it doesn't violate the flag law. But the flag law is a real fucking law, right, on a federal building.
Which is the 57 flags. That you have the 6 service flags, the 6 service flags, the POW flag, the flag of the United States, and the 50 state flags are the only ones you should be able to fly on a federal building, unless, like you said,
and obviously none can fly higher than the American flag, right? So but you can't take the fucking flag down and put the Palestinian.
Yeah, I just have issues with it, and me being Greek and the shit that Hamas has done, the Palestinians have done in and around Greece is just horrible. Yeah, so I just I think part of the problem has been, and I despise the left. The left to me is people that ride the short bus. They have to play the victim.
Sure.
They have to play the victim in every single scenario and my coach, and I've posted this before, one of the reasons I despise the Palestinians, one of my coaches in the Marine Corps was a guy by the name of Pavel Katzin. Anybody that wrestled for the Marine Corps in the 80s and wrestled Greco had Pavel Katzin as a coach. His counterpart was a guy by the name of Mark Slavin, who was one of the Israeli athletes that was killed in 1972. Had they not killed him, he would have won a gold medal for Israel in 1972, and the Israeli national anthem would have been played in Munich, 45 miles away from a death camp. The Palestinians took that away from them, took that away from all of us, from a collective healing that could have happened. And since then, if you had somebody from the PLO or Palestinian or Hamas drowning, I'd eat a BLT sandwich with scotch. So that.
Well, I gotta cut you off, George, a little bit because we want to get to what you're doing, and we got a hard time crunch today. So yeah, buddy.
I don't get any of this.
You can get some,
Okay.
and go right.
Real
You
quick,
get some, and then go right to George.
Here's my real quick, and then I'm going to introduce George. My real quick on the Palestinian thing and the Israeli thing. So the Middle East has been a shit show for the last 200 years specifically because of Europeans. Europeans being the French and the British, because they're the ones who drew the borders for all of the Middle East without talking to anybody in the Middle East, because they're the ones that colonized the Middle East. That being said, we're not going to solve anything by injecting our own politics, our own anything into the Middle East. Here's what you do.
That's clear as day.
Let the Israelis do what the Israelis want to do. Let the Palestinians do what they're going to do. And at the end of the day, when the dust settles, that's how it works. Like that's who wins. The winner wins. Just do it. Fight in your own little area. Whoever wins, wins. And then we'll talk to whoever is the winner. Other than that, us going and keeping them from fighting, that's just
the war machine, baby.
It's extended.
The longer this goes, the more Boeing makes, homie.
It should ever have been a thing.
So, and again, real quick, get back to the Book of Earl. Get back to the Book of Earl.
Real quick, though.
You don't let them raise the fucking flag on a federal building.
Yeah.
No, whoa. You know why it's happening there? Because we haven't allowed them to take care of it where they live. Right, and so we've got a bunch of people that don't have a worldview of anything because they have never seen any part. We have in the United States.
Amen, buddy. Yep.
Nobody has a passport. Nobody leaves the country. So they don't know. And when they do leave the country, they're like, oh, I'm a world traveler because I went to France or Germany or England. Like, great fucking job. You left one homogenous
culture.
Like one country full of white people and went to another country full of whiter people.
Spot on.
Another first world country where, like, the biggest cultural difference, you were like, the bread here is a lot more tough on the outside than the loaf bread I have at home. That's, I guess,
or if you're Greek, you know if you're Greek, that sauce they put on the gyros is a little different.
Yeah, go to Africa, go to the Middle East, go to any of the Asian country, like go to an Asian country, go somewhere where you're not comfortable because people don't look and sound similar to you. And then
here's the idea: go to Asia and spray paint on one of their monuments. Go to fucking Singapore and spray paint on one of their buildings.
Well, I mean, go to Palestine and support Palestine, but also tell them
the groups here in America that are supporting Palestine. Oh my God!
How you want them to appreciate the fact that you're a woman. Or
that's what Netanyahu said. Netanyahu said that about gays.
That's a whole other thing.
The gays supporting Palestine's like chickens liking KFC. That was fucking
bro. It's a woke thing. And let's just if the attack on Israel wouldn't have happened that day, this would not be going on. And then everybody's like, poor Palestinians who were literally chanting in the streets while naked girls were being fucking driven through the streets and pick up trucks.
There's also a big difference.
Buddy, I'm gonna give you like 3 more minutes, and then you
need 3 minutes. You do have to make a delineation between Palestinians and people that support Hamas. There are some people that's like there's a difference between Nazis and Germans.
Yes, exactly.
There were Germans that lived in Germany.
I don't like any child getting murdered. I don't like any child getting bombed.
Right.
I don't like any child starving.
Of course not.
Like,
that being said,
but no, not of course not, because there are lots of people on this planet that are okay with those. I think because the ends justify the means. Right. Like so.
Yeah. I'm saying of course not from like our circle here, our panel here.
All right, buddy, go.
All right, so I'm also going to I'm gonna introduce George. George, how do you say your last name? Because you're Greek. So is it Pardos? Okay. So George Pardos, who is he's an Army
Marine,
and former Army, current Marine, because you're never not a current Marine. That not only wrestled with what branch of service that he wanted to be in, but also with other people in those branches of service. He was in the Olympic trials in the 80s and 90s. He represented the Army, the Marines, and Ohio State in Greco-Roman wrestling. Now he runs a syndicate of some sort.
Yes, it's a Greek syndicate.
He's a Greek mafioso. That's a syndicate. I don't know where we're going with that. And it's on here to talk about his nonprofit, talking about health and wellness for veterans.
Yeah, but before he goes, I just want to say
you tinkle toe lock.
I just want to say I have never. In fact, this is a very distinguished wrestler in George. I just want the whole fucking world to know that I have never even surrendered a single point to him, not a single fucking point. Nor have I lost to him. Okay, so go ahead, George. Tell us about your wrestling expertise. No, actually, this is a really cool idea, guys. Everybody, pay attention. It's a really good idea.
Okay, so. One of the things that we did at Ohio State was we had a
George, I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to The Ohio State.
The
Go ahead.
Ohio State
Go
University.
ahead.
So, as Buddy was saying, I was an assistant wrestling coach at the Ohio State University. I was strength and conditioning coach. So we had a program there called Day One. So when people and we did it for not only just wrestlers but other athletes that were coming back from injuries. And so at the time when I was there, I was also a strength and conditioning coach. One of the things that we did is we helped athletes get back on the competition field. And what we figured out was that one of the approaches that worked was to not say what you can't do, restricting a movement, but what you can do. So in the last few years, I've been, where I've been training at Westside Barbell and some of the other places, we've been helping some veterans. So we decided to make this into a program to help veterans that are hurt, but or injured, but also veterans that are just want to be able to move better. So when we're starting next month in September, we're holding clinics or workshops, and our program is called On Target for Vets. And what the workshops are doing is say, I know all of us probably have shoulder injuries. So what we do is we come in and we show you not only exercises, but things you can do to help rehab injuries. So, we teach you extra, movements that can help you get if you have injuries to your labrum, which a lot of people do. If you have injuries to your knees, we will show you exercises that will help. So, for example, all of us, I don't know, I went to airborne school. I know some of you guys went to airborne school. You get hurt jumping out of it. So you have
all three of us.
So you have what's
I got
called
hurt. That's what boosted Nick's career.
So you have what's called parity injuries. So, for example, a lot of people that jump out of an airplane will tear their meniscus. Well, if you tear your meniscus, the injury that comes with it is usually a torn MCL. So we teach you exercises, and not only exercises, but therapies that work. So, for example, we're a big proponent of protein peptides. So, we say, hey, maybe you can get healed from, maybe TB 500 and BPC 157. Those are injectable protein peptides that help you heal. Maybe you need STEM. Maybe you need ART therapy. So we figure out what you need so you don't get to what's called pain aversion. Because one of the things that we have noticed, not just in the veteran community, but in communities as well, is when you're injured, you have a tendency to multiply that injury with another injury. So if you have a bad back, if let's say, the most common injury in the military is L3, L4, L5, the lumbar, because you jump, it's a weight bearing part of your back. Then what's the next thing that happens? Well, you misalign your gait, then you develop, anterior crucial ligament injuries to your knees because you're not moving correctly. So that is what we're doing. We're partnering. We're partnering with the University of Virginia and their orthopedic. There's an orthopedic surgeon there who was also an All-American at Ohio State, Ron Garbo. We're working on the Ohio State University, and we're working with people to basically say, okay, this is how you get better. And this is how you get better prior to you having an injury that is just that is just overwhelming. We teach about parasympathetic breathing. Because what the SEALs have done, the box breathing causes more damage than good. We teach you, if you have a TBI, we're working with a partnership with UVA, where you can go to their treatment center because they just got a $60 million grant for veterans for TBI therapy. So we say, okay, hey, listen, can you pass the MCI, which is the Montreal Cognitive Impairment Test. If you need help, are you having high cortisol levels that we need to address? So basically, we're teaching you how to get better before an injury gets catastrophic.
Right. Hey, George, let me cut you off for a second.
Yes, sir.
Because I think you're losing some of the people that don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We've been fortunate enough on this show to have a lot of experts on it.
Yes, sir.
And then one of our first sponsors was Muscle Activation Technique, right? Where they, talk about a lot of the same things you talk about, to where, everybody concentrates on one injury, not realizing what that one injury is going to freaking turn, right? To where, like, we're not checking things. So those of you who are listening and watching, right, it's Western medicine. All right, you got to be careful with it, especially as a veteran. They're going to give you the pills and they're going to give you the injections for your back. All right, but you're not. And if you want to be active, which we all encourage you to be, right, you're going to do a lot of damage to yourself, right? So this is something that George has taken on, which is tremendous, right? So George, how does a veteran get a hold of this program? How do they get into the program? When are you launching your first one? And like, so how does somebody who wants to be active, that just like they sit on their couch and go, I can't go work out because I'm going to be fucking hurt tomorrow?
That's a good question. So we're going to start holding workshops and starting next month. What we're also going to do is we're going to start posting videos of certain exercises you can do if you're just sitting in a chair. So for example, we have some resistant bands exercises that you can do while you're sitting in a chair, some knee activation techniques, some back activation techniques you can do while you're sitting, or you could do it at home without having the need of a lot of equipment. So, if you're, some people don't want to go to the gym because there's an embarrassment value there, because, you can't, you're moving around and you're hurt. So we're going to start posting videos and say, okay, listen, you need to release your shoulder and do this stretch and exercise. And we have a couple lifters that have a couple of athletes that have agreed to, basically post a video that you could do at home, and then we'll have workshops which we'll broadcast with.
Very nice. Very nice.
Like almost like TED Talks, but with lifting and
it's not always lifting, but
rehabilitation
exercises. Yeah, rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we've also noticed, and this is just from what I've talked to now, you guys have spent a lot more time with, on active duty than I did, but they seem, airborne always seem to have the three same injuries all over: L3, L4, L5, C1, C3, C4, C5, MCL, ACL, MCL injuries. That seems to be, plantar fascia,
and huge wieners.
I mean, that's great. You like men? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that comes in handy.
2024.
But no,
but the boxing champion
with those little banana pepper arms. Have you ever thought about doing a curl?
I'm cutting down. I'm cutting down to like 119, George. All right, I'm gonna have.
He needs to do some of this rehabilitation stuff. He's got a battery in his ass.
I do think that
might be good for Nick.
George, I think one of the problems is, and I noticed it going from active duty, like retiring, and I still go to the gym on post and try to stay at least semi-active. But the mindset of going from active duty, being fit, active duty, and being fit as a civilian are two conflicting ideologies. One is run 2 miles as fast as you possibly can. The other one is maintain good cardio health. You know what I mean? And they don't live in the same world.
It's a better one, dude. For all those of you that are watching and retiring, it's a much better one. Now you can just run whenever the fuck you want.
Yeah, well, you do.
But I mean, what?
That's easy to say. That's easy
not
to
run
do,
at all.
It's a lot harder when you're in the gym and you're like, or you're out running and you're like, fuck, man, I just ran a 9-minute mile. That's disgusting. I'm a piece of shit. But then you get that inner monologue that's like telling you how horrible you are. And then you Google, like, what should I be running? And it's like 10-minute mile is fine for a person your age. And you're like, 10 minutes? I should be running 6:45.
Yeah,
Like,
we had to bring in
yeah.
had to bring in the run coach from the University of Hawaii to like when I was the first 125th because I was reading up on how like running injuries, and so we brought him in, and he's like, "How fast do you guys run training for a 2 mile?" And we're like, "Fuck, 6-minute mile, 5 minutes, fast as shit, bro." You know, and it's like, try running where you can talk comfortably for like 6 miles, and he's like, if you can do that, you can run 2 miles in 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
But why do you think that they, so, I mean, you think about it, this is why you call cadence when you run is so you have what's called breathing synchronicity. And, and that also helps you when you run cadence, you can also run faster. But one of the things issue is you also have to have practical mobility. So for example, you drop, I mean, you're in the kitchen, you drop, a piece of silverware on the floor. Can you bend over and pick it up?
No, that's where it lives now.
Yeah. I mean,
it's got a whole family of ants around it now.
Yeah. It's actually a new ecosystem.
This whole kitchen is just littered with forks and knives
in itself
spoons.
in my refrigerator or in my kitchen at this point.
Or can you pick up, if you're, if one of your kids gets hurt, can you pick them up and get them, back into the house or, back into, I mean, can you pick them up and carry them? I mean,
I live that Montana life. I just go into the house and then hopefully within 2 hours they're gone.
Yeah. And then, but I mean, those are the important things is that you also got to remember is, most of the people that retire out of the military, late 30s, early 40s, you're still going to have a good 30 years of life left to live. I mean, maybe, but what happens is
you would hope.
You would hope. I mean, we all want to live to be old, but you also, one of the things that we also talk about, and which is not addressed by a lot of people, is we talk about TRT. If we say to you, hey, listen, you might need to consider getting on TRT therapy just to get you stabilized.
What's TRT therapy again?
Testosterone replacement therapy.
Right. And is your organization is that going to be part of it once you guys scale, that this will be something that's provided?
Well, if we say, if you're having problems with, we know how to screen for low TRT, we'll say, hey, go to a doctor. The VA in some places will give you TRT and you might need to get back on. You might need to get back on it because as you age, TRT lowers it also carries other factors with it. And that is a big deal. Now we're not going to say, hey, the minute you get in, we're going to, we need to get you juiced like, Mark McGuire, but you've got to be realistically. The one thing is that I've talked to veterans in a lot of different states. Some states have TRT therapy for veterans. Other states do not. And it's not consistent. And part of the problem with the VA has been, and this is just my take on it. And again, I'm a little older. They're not consistent across the board.
Not even close. There is zero sharing information.
And they don't tell you what they don't tell you. So when they were, one of the things they said to a lot of veterans, now they quit. But if you were taking Klonopin, you were going to develop type 2 diabetes because there's a blocker in Klonopin for sugar. So there are issues that happen because, like I said, they're called parity injuries. If you do one, then another is going to come with it. And the problem is, I see it from another. We don't get consistent information, and as veterans, we're not very good about sharing information. That's one of the big problems we've had in our community. And
right, and that's exactly what we started VTT for, and what VRS is really good for is sharing that information, getting it out there. 70,000 veteran nonprofits, and you're about to add one to it. Which again, we're not against having 10 million veteran nonprofits.
We're not.
What do they do?
But we're not addressing. Here's the things we will not. There's 14. We're not addressing. There's things we're not going to address. We're not going to go to the 22 a day. There's people that are very good at that. We're not doing that. We're saying to you, because of our coaching background, and we've got athletes that are on board. We're going to say, hey, listen, we're going to help you live a better life.
You're going to get left to bang. You're going to get left to bang.
Well, you know what, George? To be honest with you, you'd be surprised. Like that 22 a day thing, like the cliche of 22 a day, like that's the symptom, right? There are causes for people being there, and one of the major causes is you're hurt and broke, and you don't feel like you provide anything because you can't bend down and pick up a spoon.
Right, you can't go play with your kids.
You can't go play with your kids. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're
Mind, body, and soul, baby.
That's how
Mind, body,
depression
yep.
works. If you have a group of people that is making you able to be active again and be yourself again,
like George can't even score a point against Pep Banana Arms. You know what I'm saying?
That actually helps. Like you get Nick you get him away from his noodle arms.
Yeah, I mean, think about that.
I'm okay. You know what a bench press is, Nick?
That
he doesn't.
I don't until I lose a point to you, George. I don't have to bench press. Okay, I've never lost a point to you.
I know,
not
but
even
it's
not a match, not even a point.
Well,
there are female wrestlers in the Olympics that have bigger arms than you.
But maybe I should have been born with an XY chromosome.
I don't even bench heavy
You
anymore.
I was. Wait a minute, I was. Because I'm a dude.
One of the other things that happens is, again, to what Buddy has said, is that you have certain injuries, and then they lead to So one of the things that happens, if you do have certain injuries, you wind up, again, it does lead to depression. It leads to certain other and 15 minutes a day, which is not a lot of time. I mean, you could do some of these exercises, and we've developed exercises you can do while sitting with resistant bands, which if you don't want to do that, I don't know what else we could do. But what we can do is say, hey, listen, if your shoulder is hurting, these are the exercises to do. If your knee is hurting, these are the things you can do. We're going to show you through the whole range of the injuries we've seen that plague the most.
No, George, you said something there that's really important for the veterans listening to hear.
I was gonna, go ahead. I was gonna hit on.
If you're not gonna do this exercise in your chair, then you know what? We can't really
and
do.
You
much
probably ended up in that chair because there were 10 other things that you didn't want to do either.
Right.
That's
Get off
like
your ass.
The mindset.
Yeah. And again, it's a lot easier said than done. You're right. Making progress is difficult, right?
Yeah,
difficult. But we are at a time. We are at a time crunch. On two ends.
Well, we could have talked about this a little longer.
George can always come back.
Specifically, that George.
Our producer, the other Marine, really loves when he comes on because it's like two Marines in the same room, like two realtors. We'll talk about that next. You just
his buddy's all fancy going to a NFL game.
But hey, George, before Buddy gives us the AAR and we
tighten up.
Remember, anything that you do with VRS and or on targetforvets.org. Chris, if you want to put that up there before we close out the show, anything that you do with them, those tutorial videos, anything, all right, we will blast it for you. All right, we'll blast it for you on all of our platforms. So don't forget to do that, right? So when you make a video, hit me up and we'll share all of that. We'll support you in your, again, I think this is a phenomenal idea. So, all right, buddy, you got a minute, AAR, or you freeze.
Okay, boom, got you. Let's see. First thing, in Montana, horrible parenting equals conspiracy, or you just want to, or sex trafficking. We don't know which one.
Or
also,
both.
There's a pretty good chance that Ted Kaczynski is grabbing kids in Montana and doing weird shit with them after his CIA experiment. That's what I wrote down. Hamas are terrorists. We figured that out with the Book of Earl. Also, you can support Palestinians and you can support Israelis and not support their governments at the same time. You don't have to support one team or the other team. It's not the NFL. Just saying, you can support humans and not support bad policy. It's allowed, but you should never support terrorists of any kind, i.e. Hamas. Got it. Anyway, and then last but not least, we had George Pardos on, and he was talking about getting on Target for the number for veterans.org. They're coming out with a bunch of health and wellness programs, videos, techniques, coaching that you can do that people that know what they're doing to help you rehabilitate from injuries that you have gotten in the military. Go there. But if you go there, have your mind right. Be ready to do the work to get better, because if you're not willing to do the work to get better, you can do all the TRT and look at all the videos that you want. All you're going to do is end up fat on your couch with a bunch of TRT in your system, roid raging, because there's nothing that you can do with it because you're not using the T. You got to use the T, and that will help with the last T, the therapy. T and the T. All right. Anyway.
Oh, well played, buddy.
Not really. That was a journey that was a journey we all had to take together that really had no ending to it. But anyway, so get on targetforveterans.org. Take a
Target.
What?
Yeah, get it right, buddy.
Target for
and then you can look at also at our our Facebook
on
page.
Target for Veterans. You know, I wrote that down and then didn't.
It's literally on the screen.
It's also on the screen, but there was a thing. It was covering it. On Target.
Special Forces, huh?
All right.
Special. XX chromosome special forces.
Hey, not a huge deal. I had enough chromosomes. I had extra. I've got extra chromosomes, guys.
I got extra Y's.
I got so many chromosomes. It's crazy.
And we're going over time. It's your fault, buddy. You're the one.
Hey,
shut the fuck up.
All right,
buddy. Thanks for the amazing AR.
Dave can talk about all the other stuff, like where you go to talk about us.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks for the amazing AR, George. Wonderful idea. Can't wait to watch.
The only thing I want to say,
go ahead.
Say, the last thing I want to say is that just remember this: even you're never alone. Even a sniper needs a spotter. Even the basic Ranger teams are 2 men. You're never in this alone. And so if you are struggling, we want you to live better. If you're out of pain, if you move better, you live better, you have a more enjoyable quality of life, because no one wants to walk around hurt every day.
Facts.
And number 2, thank you for having me on. Love the shirt. Big Earl, does the shirt that you're wearing, does it come in men's or just you?
It does. It does. It comes in undefeated against George.
That's
right.
Good. I like
undefeated against George.
I love to do that.
Our other expert who's undefeated against George is from Michigan.
Awesome. Thanks again, George. Look forward to seeing this nonprofit grow and helping out veterans, because that's just what we do, and that's why we bring nonprofits on. Nick is showing his guns. All right, we all showing them. Buddy, where's your guns at, huh?
I keep mine in a vault, guys.
Don't try.
Don't try
to get.
You gotta go. You gotta
traps.
I keep my guns in a vault. I don't want the kids to get a hold of them.
Dave hasn't done tries.
That's good. But anyway, thanks for coming on. If you tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That's our website, which has the links to everything: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. You can go on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe. We are shadow banned on YouTube, so it would be greatly appreciated to push us through the algorithm. If you like any of our merch, specifically the Quit Being a Triggered Pansy or the Fuck Hamas, go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com or scan that QR code right there. We're fucking fancy as fuck. And you can get this Quit Being a Triggered Pansy shirt. We love you guys, and we'll catch you guys next week. Boom. We're out.